Welcome to Lifting Leaders Podcast, where we are unleashing leader possibilities to make a better world. I'm Crystal Roberts, and together with Trisha Ryan, we're diving deeper into some of the complexities of the world's most critical challenges and exploring innovative ways of navigating through them.
Through interviews with experts and leaders just like you, we're exploring what it takes to thrive as a leader today and examining new ways of thinking about how to creatively lead into a more equitable, socially responsible, and sustainable future. And the future starts now.
Hi, Trisha. How are you doing today?
I am great. How are you? I'm enjoying the sun.
I know.
What's going on with you?
That false spring that they told us about, it's kind of lingering, so that's kind of fun.
Well, we're only a few weeks away from real spring, so honestly,
maybe it's just an early spring.
I think so. Let's go there. Let's go there.
No more snow. No more snow. So I'm really excited about today.
Yeah.
Because we have a really special guest with us, somebody who's returning. She was with us back on May 1st in 2022, which I can't believe it was that long ago.
Back in season 1.
Yeah.
Oh, my word.
Yeah. We're really excited to have Andy here because she's going to help us think through what can leaders do to restore harmony in the workplace.
Yes. Oh, and right now is such a hot time for that, right?
Yeah. It's just such a challenging time. And we know there's a lot of division in our society. It feels like a lot of chaos is going on around us. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that's being played out through our politics. And it's impacting everyone.
Yes.
So I don't think anybody is getting away from that. And so we also know that even though this is happening out in our personal lives, it's really impacting our work lives as well. Yeah. And so Andy's going to help us to sort of sort through that and talk with us about what can leaders do to really help their teams and help their organization create this space, this haven for people to get away a little bit from that division and chaos. How do we bring our teams together? So I'm really excited about this episode.
I love that we're doing this right now, especially. You know, it's just been kind of a challenging time, and looking for ways that we can do things differently and feel better. That's never a bad thing, but right now I think it's the best thing. So I'm glad that Andy's here, and I'm so glad that we have her back. Yeah, it's always kind of a breath of fresh air, right?
That's right. Welcome, Andy. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me back. It is great to be here.
So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about her so you know about her background. Andrea Lucky is a visionary human resources executive who specializes in developing and executing strategies that blend human resource expertise with business acumen, technological savvy, and a deep understanding of organizational dynamics. With a distinguished career spearheading transformative HR initiatives that have elevated organizational cultures for a variety of organizations, Andrea has been instrumental in boosting employee engagement and driving sustainable excellence. Andrea is the CEO and founder of Fern HR Consulting, a business consultancy that specializes in delivering customized and innovative HR solutions that drive growth and goal achievement for businesses of all sizes. Prior to founding Fern HR Consulting, Andrea held executive human resource leadership roles in diverse industries, including the Port of Seattle, Torre Composites America, C&W Services, Kitsap Credit Union, and AAA Washington. With a career spanning more than 30 years, Andrea is recognized as a culture champion and cultivator of exceptional employee engagement. She has successfully helped organizations identify and strengthen their desired corporate cultures, improve employee engagement, and grow financial performance. Andrea holds a Master's of Science degree in Human Resource Development from Villanova University, a Bachelor of Business Administration from Pacific Lutheran University, and certifications in multiple HR professional organizations. So welcome back, Andy, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
You can tell, our listeners can tell from all that beautiful background why we invited you today.
Yes, absolutely.
Culture, employee engagement, those things that we would hope that all HR professionals have, but I think you are particularly positioned to help us with this conversation.
Yes,
yeah,
I agree.
Great. Thank you. My pleasure.
So since your last visit, what's new and important for us to know about you and your journey. So if you want to hear more about Andy's full story, you can go back to that episode on March 1st, 2022. The episode is called It's Our Lucky Day. A little play on her last name.
Oh, really?
So we want to know what's new and important for us to know about you right now.
Oh my gosh. Well, what's new since last time is that since 2022, I founded my own consulting business. So I am super excited about that. I'm able to focus on the things that I love to do, such as building cultures, engaging employees, doing the things that for me are a bit more exciting in human resources, and gets me motivated and happy because I feel like I can make a really strong impact.
I love that. Congratulations.
Yes.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
That's awesome. Congratulations to you, because I know it's what you really makes your heart sing. And it's also, I'm really happy for your clients because I know how much you can help them. So they're lucky to have you.
Another play on words, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. No. So the country's really divided right now. I think we can all agree on that. And it's kind of in chaos. And especially this last week, I think there's been a lot going on that has caused people to just, there are only so many times you can shake your head and go, what's going on, right? So with all of this government action, we know that this bleeds into our workspace. As an HR professional and a consultant, what challenges or issues are you currently observing at the workplace that seem to be stemming from that broader societal issue?
Yeah, you can't go without turning on the TV or walking into a grocery store or anywhere and hear something about what is going on in the country. And there is so much divisional unrest. And it's seeping into everything. It's seeping into our workplaces, and it just creates a lot of challenges. As an HR professional and a consultant, what I'm observing, there are kind of several key issues that are stemming from it. We are really seeing an increased tension in conflict in people. There's just so much discourse, and employees, they bring their opinions with them. They bring them into work. They bring them into, if they're meeting with their friends, whatever, but they're bringing their opinions and emotions to work. Mm-hmm. And that can sometimes lead to conflicts with their colleagues. Yeah. That tension can disrupt team cohesion, of course, productivity. And then for HR professionals, we're going to have to get in and mediate or try and foster that respectful inclusive environment. So that's one. I'm also seeing in some cases mental health struggles. I think there's uncertainty and stress that is being caused by these issues, and it just takes a toll on employees' mental health. There's anxiety, depression, burnout, and they seem to be becoming more prevalent. So that's something that we're definitely seeing. A big one, and I'm sure everyone's been hearing about this, but all the DEI challenges.
Yes.
So definitely a spotlight on these social justice movements, putting DEI efforts under a microscope. And, over the last several years, many organizations have been making great strides in these areas. And now things are changing and they're struggling with how to implement or what to do. I think another big one also is recruitment. We're either people are seeing it there or they're concerned about it in recruitment, because the way we recruit, the way we present ourselves as an organization and our culture can influence employees' decisions to join a company or stay with a company.
Yeah.
And so if companies are being viewed as or perceived as being unsupportive, or they're not aligned with the employees or candidates' values, they may not want to work there, or they may want to leave there.
Right.
So there's some issues around, or potentially issues that some of my clients are seeing around recruiting. We just need to address these proactively, in general, but being a supportive and inclusive place to work for our employees and being consistent. So that's what I'm seeing right now.
I was you said something that kind of sparked I thought in the area of people bringing their stuff to work, bringing their issues and how they feel to work. And I can remember a long time ago when I was young in my profession, having leaders say, don't bring your personal life to work. You leave it at the door and you just, you start working. And we realized over the years that that's just not doable. We're humans, right? And so bringing what's going on in your world to work is a reality. We all have to do that because you can't just leave it at the door. So the challenge, it's sort of like a two-headed coin or something. The challenge is that how do you respect that or support that people are going to bring their stuff to work, right? At the same time, trying to discourage that kind of stuff coming into the work. So it's like, well, you could bring your stuff to work, but not that.
Yeah. And it's challenging for managers to know how to deal with that and how to support their employees with whatever it is that they're bringing in. But they aren't trained to be well versed in those areas. So they're turning to us for help.
Yeah. And in many cases, I think those leaders are having the same kind of angst, and
Absolutely
so they have the same feelings. And so if they're in a room full of people who feel the same way they do, there's a potential for it to turn into a rally or something, it can.
Yeah.
So it's really a kind of a fine line as well. So, yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, one of the interesting things that I've seen lately also is, and I think we'd been headed this direction anyway before Trump, is calling up new models of leadership, which are actually not new models. They're old models that people are trying to implement now. And I think that's also an interesting dynamic, whereas we know, right, those models don't work on a long-term basis. They can work in the short-term basis. People get stuff done, but it will never succeed in the long term. And so we're having to address that as well. Like what are our expectations in our organization around this, and just being really clear. Yeah.
Yeah, it's constantly evolving.
Yeah. So kind of on that same note, what role do leaders play in guiding organizations through these turbulent times to foster a more positive environment?
Yeah, I mean, the role of leaders is really pivotal. They're the ones who are with employees. First line supervisors, for example, are with employees. They're the ones employees are going to, and of course, all the way up to the senior leadership of the company. They're setting the tone, and leaders are needing to guide the organization through these turbulent times. So when there's a lot of division, uncertainty, it makes it a lot more difficult. So I think actions is very important, and attitudes. They can both make a significant difference. And you want to try and make things be very stable to keep the morale up in the workplace. So some things that leaders can do. I think one of the biggest things, and this is true for so many things, but it's true here too, is open and honest communication. So that's really essential when you're trying to foster trust and reduce anxiety. You need to be open about things and transparent about things. By providing regular updates on like the organization's status, any decisions, future plans, things like that, putting that transparency out there, employees can feel more informed and reassured. So even though there's a lot of discourse happening outside in the world, when they come into work, if they're hearing these things of, okay, my job is okay, that's stable, or, I don't have to worry about this, or just being aware if there is something coming on that could cause more strife, of course, if it's a bad situation. But being as open and honest as you can is going to help build that trust and bring some sense of stability to employees. So that's a really critical. Fostering a culture of inclusion during these turbulent political times, ensuring that every employee feels included and respected is critical too. Leaders, they really should be championing diversity, equity, inclusion. And I know that can be viewed as a bad word now, as you're hearing about these things in general. I mean, it's not a bad word. What's important is still creating an environment where there's a lot of diverse views, diverse people, things are equitable, and everyone is feeling included. That creates a safe space for employees having dialogue with each other and a sense of belonging and unity, really. Um, I think one of the most important things, and this is becoming more talked about in the recent years, which is supporting well-being,
Yeah.
providing
Yes.
access to health resources, promoting work-life balance, encouraging self-care. These things are essential to help with overall well-being, and leaders who are prioritizing well-being themselves are demonstrating their commitment to their team's health and happiness as well. So those are some things that I think leaders could be doing.
You know, that last one is really, it takes me back to the pandemic and how, you know, self care and well being seemed to come to the forefront. And I was glad because we had not really put any emphasis on it unless somebody was in a real, you know, traumatic moment. But it became the norm almost for people to try new things, meditation, seeking, you know, EAP intervention if need be or whatever, or certainly support, and getting involved in things like yoga and exercise and all those things. And this is not a different time in that sense. I mean, I think people are feeling very much the same way in some ways. You know, there was a lack of hope then, and I think there are people who are feeling that way now. And so there's nothing that says that what worked before wouldn't work now, right? Yeah.
That's a great point. And, you know, back then, all of those apps started coming into play, mindfulness apps where people can learn to meditate, for example. And those are things that could still be done now if they haven't already, you know, providing those types of benefits or resources to employees. You're right. It's a very similar situation that people are just feeling really uncomfortable and don't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I think I like how you brought out the fact that leaders need to go first.
Yes.
They need to be the example. And
Yes.
that can be hard. And we understand that, right? But if you're just saying that you want people to take care of themselves, to take vacations, to take care of their own well-being, and they're working 12-hour days and not taking vacations, or they're taking their laptops with them on their vacations, not giving themselves a break, just poor behavior in general, that's what sets the bar for people. You can say anything you want. You know, it can have all these expectations for people and hope that they do these things. And you have leaders who aren't, people aren't going to do it. No.
It makes me.
I go back to, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up because I think about how people say, for example, I don't want you working while you're on vacation. But then what does the leader do? They're sending emails while they're on vacation.
Yeah.
So demonstrating whether they mean to or not, they're demonstrating that it's really not okay to not work when you're on vacation. You know, so that's a perfect example that you brought up because that happens a lot, or after hours emails.
Yeah.
You know, that's another thing.
Yeah.
So there's things around that, but that's demonstrating what you're really wanting, whether you intend to do that or not.
Yeah, you know, we've talked about this before. It is not a bad thing. In fact, we actually support leaders being vulnerable. You know, when a leader opens their heart to the people that work with them, that tells people that they're no different. They go through things too, and it brings them to a level where they can see eye to eye, and that to me is that's an important thing. I can remember in my past where that was just not even encouraged, but in the last several years, I've been so encouraged that is a normal practice, and it works. Right? It works. Just getting leaders, though, to get comfortable with being vulnerable is really tough. So we'll keep trying. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think the other thing just to mention is we're talking about formal leaders in this situation.
That's true.
But we do know that everyone is a leader. And so even, you know, just taking a stance and saying and behaving in ways that you know are positive makes a difference for those people that are around you.
Yeah.
So even if
right.
a listener or some of our listeners aren't formal leaders, you can make a difference.
It's true. And I think acting in a way that you would want people, that would make you comfortable, putting yourself out there and hoping that you are the example or you are the point of reference that people see when they are communicating back with you. I think that trying to not getting to a point where you're taking an opposing side to things, but trying to find that middle ground where you can both be comfortable in a conversation. That's so much more important, I think, to me anyway. When I get uncomfortable in a conversation, sometimes I kind of shut down for part of it. And when I do that, I miss information, right? So being in the middle somewhere is really important. And I think the leader taking the stand of, let me get us to the middle and let's just have a conversation. That would be a good idea.
Yeah.
Right.
So I believe that one potential solution lies in returning to the basics, our collective wisdom and research on employee engagement. So we know through experience, all three of us have more than 30 years of experience. We've seen it, right? We know that this works, employee engagement works. And there's also a lot of research now out there that tells us that as well, that it's better for the organization. And there's lots of benefits, both for the individual and the organization. So despite its long-standing presence, though, many leaders seem to overlook its critical importance. Mm-hmm. So there's still a lot of people out there that think it's just fluff. Can you talk a little bit about why employee engagement is so helpful and not just superficial concept?
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. There are so many people who still feel that it's just fluff. But really, it's a critical component of an organization's success, and it has profound impacts on, and there's studies on this, on productivity, on morale, overall performance. So returning to the basics of employee engagement can provide a strong foundation for addressing the workplace challenges. So things like enhancing productivity. So engaged employees are more motivated and committed to their work, leading to higher levels of productivity. So when employees are passionate about what they do, they invest more effort and creativity even into their tasks. So you get better outcomes for the organization. And I mean, I think if people really truly think about it, when you're happy and you enjoy doing something, you put more of yourself into it.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone can argue that. Another thing that I think people don't always realize is that it can reduce turnover. So high levels of employee engagement contribute to job satisfaction and loyalty to a company. So engaged employees are going to be less likely to leave an organization, reducing turnover rates, and don't forget how expensive it is to recruit and train new employees. Yeah. So there's a cost involved in that. And so retaining that top talent is crucial for maintaining the continuity and expertise within the organization. And then customer satisfaction. There's a ripple effect. When employees are engaged, that extends to the customer. And if you're treating your employees right and they're satisfied, they're engaged, they're happy, they're going to be treating your customers right. They're more likely to deliver that exceptional customer service. Which, on another note, it seems like customer service doesn't even exist anymore. Generations coming in, it's so different from what I'm used to. But still, they provide that extra customer service and it increases the customer satisfaction and the customer's loyalty. So basically, really, just simply put, happy employees create happy customers, and that's essential for business success.
Wow. And there's another opportunity for formal leaders to pave the way on that as well. If there's a leader that is not engaged, that's a point of reference. And we've all seen that where they're disengaged leaders and their entire work team is disengaged. And I am a true believer that if you're a leader and you're engaged, you're going to probably inspire people to follow that lead too, especially if you're positive about it and you're, you are trying to inspire them to help. So you involve them and get them. And anytime you get people involved, that's engagement to a degree, right?
Yeah. The other one that has some research behind it as well is safety. So
Yes.
the safety scores go up for people. They have there's less accidents. And the other one recently came out, I think maybe a couple of years ago, that engaged employees, it makes sense, right? They have better well-being.
Yes.
And they cost less, essentially, healthcare wise. They literally have less visits to the emergency room.
Yes.
I was like, I mean, if we do it for nothing but that, I mean, how can we feel good about ourselves as leaders and organizations if we're sending people to the emergency room? You know, that's just not right. It's their job.
And we are seeing more and more questions or statements on engagement surveys that pertain to those very things, safety and health. And it's so important. I think, we see DEI questions as well and belonging questions. I think that's very important. And now we're seeing a lot of things about alternative work arrangements for people who are, hybrid. Maybe some people are in the office partially part of the time and out of the office, and that is also taking it right back to health and welfare and well-being, mental and emotional well-being.
Yeah. So many benefits of this practice, essentially, the employee engagement practices. Yeah.
And so we're really talking about what I'm going to ask you right now, which is, for those who may not really fully understand, what is employee engagement and why is it so vital for success of leaders and of organization?
Yeah, that's a great question because you can easily make an assumption that people know what that means, but they may not. So it's really good to clarify that. I would say it's a fundamental concept, and it goes beyond just job satisfaction and happiness, but it refers to the emotional and psychological commitment that employees have towards their organization and its goals. So engaged employees are not just present at work, they're passionate, they're motivated, and they're interested in the success of the organization. And then that drives production. That increases performance. It improves motivation, innovation.
Yeah.
Greater efficiencies. And so all of those things contribute to the organization's success. Again, retention, you're going back to what I said earlier on the last question, but it results in lower turnover rates. So having those performers stay, it reduces costs and disruptions those upsets may cause, and you're not having to hire and train new employees, and you're getting to retain those talented individuals.
So true. So true.
Yeah. I think we've made the case that it's a good thing, and it's really if we can focus on it,
it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing, and it is one of the things that if we focus on, will help us to create these more harmonious work environments for people. What practical steps can leaders take to enhance employee engagement within their organizations?
I think there's some. I'll say they're easy, not necessarily easy to do, but they're not difficult to understand how it could work. But really, again, I'll talk about communication. You can never over communicate. So regularly share updates. Seek feedback. That's a big one. Find
Feedback.
out what employees are, getting that feedback from the employees and what they're thinking. And creating those channels for employees to voice their ideas and concerns, whether it's through a survey, whether it's through their manager, however that might be for your organization, but create those channels. Because that all, again, as I said earlier, that builds trust and employees feel heard. Another thing that I think is important would be to provide opportunities for growth. So investing in an employee's professional development, so you can offer training, mentorships, career advancement opportunities. And by encouraging that continuous learning, providing resources for the employees to develop new skills. They can, if they're seeing a clear path for their growth, they can end up being more engaged and more committed to the organization. And another one, and I know a lot of people think of this as a buzzword, but I do think it's important, but it's empowering employees. So giving them the autonomy to make decisions and take ownership of their work. Nobody likes to be micromanaged or nitpicked about things. give them that ownership, encourage them to innovate, to take risks and contribute their ideas. You learn from making mistakes, and let people have the opportunity to take those risks without fear of reprisal and contribute those ideas. They just employees will then have a greater responsibility and feel more engaged. They'll feel like they're trusted and they'll feel valued. Essentially, is what I'm saying. They'll feel like they're valued by the organization, by their supervisor. So those are some things that leaders could do. Another one that it's hard to do, I'll say, it doesn't always happen because it's very hard to do, is to provide regular feedback. So leaders should be giving feedback. It could be constructive feedback and support. So you want to help employees improve and grow. If you're just telling them, or if you're never saying anything, nobody's going to know. How can somebody know if they're not doing something well, or they can be doing it better? They're not going to learn and they aren't going to grow. So leaders should have those regular check-ins with employees, discussing the progress, addressing any challenges, removing obstacles if there are any, setting clear goals. But that helps the employees stay aligned with the organizational objectives, and again, feel supported in their development.
I think there's responsibility on both sides of that fence too. It's like, for the leader, in some industries, it's going to be new to do some of the things you're talking about, not having that thumb on a person's head and saying, now do this, now do that, micromanaging them to tears. But, and in some industries, that's the way it's been done for so long that anybody who steps off that platform, it's new and different and pretty uncomfortable, not just for the leader, because an employee, even though they're maybe disengaged, that's what they're used to. I worked in another industry a long time ago, and that was the norm. And employees weren't necessarily engaged, but they were riding the time to retirement. And so they were complacent in many ways, right? And that took a real hit on productivity, but leaders weren't able to step out of the box because it was almost cultural. It was the culture. Right. So when I think now about how we are so different today, but there are some of those folks who have who've come up through the ranks with that kind of behavior above them, having to break that ceiling and say, no, I'm going to be a different kind of leader. It may be a challenge, but it's not, you're not going to melt. You're not going to internally combust if you do this, and your folks may just be really happy about it, right? I would hope.
But you made a great point there in that, it is hard to change, but they grew up in that environment. So what are they doing? The same thing that they were taught.
Yeah.
So teach something different. The people are then going to be doing what they're being taught, right? So change that story.
Yeah, so true.
And we definitely know there's a generational aspect to this as well, as far as what the expectations are for their leaders. And we know that those folks that are coming into the workforce or new to the workforce, they expect to be asked what their ideas are, and they also want a lot of feedback. So we have to step up to them. Yeah,
that's right.
So true. So our podcast theme this year is Leaders Thrive in 25. Could you share what you're doing to thrive this year and the impact you're noticing, or you've noticed, both for yourself and for those around you so far?
Well, I love Leaders Thrive in 25. That's great. So I'm not going to be not setting a good example, right? I'm going to set a good example. So what I'm doing for myself is prioritizing well-being.
Love that.
I understand the importance of mental and physical health, and I've made self-care a priority for myself. So though I've had a knee injury lately, so exercise has kind of fallen out the window, but I try and do other things to maintain a healthy work-life balance. So whether, I'll get massages, I'll have my nails done, I will go outside and work outside, or just a change of scenery. Anything that puts myself first, I've noticed it helps me to be more focused and present in the work that I'm doing and for other people. Um, I've had so many comments from people actually since I've made that shift for myself. Because I noticed, I was really stressed out, and there's always a lot going on in the world. That's why we're doing this podcast, right? There's a lot going on in the world,
Yeah.
and and it causes a lot of stress. And people, I don't know if they were noticing that I was stressed, but they certainly noticed when I was not stressed.
Mm.
They would start making comments about, wow, you look different. You look really at ease or calm or happy, or comments like that. They said they could see it in my face or just the way that I held myself. So they weren't going around saying you look stressed, but they really noticed a difference when that stress was relieved. So I've been sharing what I've been doing with other people, and I've had a few people comment to me that they're so glad that I brought that up and that they've started doing those things for themselves and they've noticed a difference.
Yeah.
So that's my priority in 25 is well-being for myself, and it is definitely noticed by others.
I love that. And I love the fact that they're noticing, right? Because that will tell people, when they notice something like that, then if you're internalizing it all, you're thinking, wow, if I'm seeing that in Andrea, maybe I could do that myself. I love, you're setting an example. You're being the point of reference. And I love that. And I love that you're putting yourself first. My gosh, that is inspiring.
Yeah.
Listeners, hear that.
It is inspiring, right? We don't have to say anything. That's kind of what you were saying is it's just the way you live your life, and that other people notice that, and that inspires them and sort of gives them permission to do some things for themselves as well. Yeah. Love that. So we are at the end of our questions. Our last one is looking ahead. What are you most excited about? What's next for you?
Wow. So, I'm incredibly excited about the opportunities to further build my career and my business and make a significant impact in HR. One of my primary focuses is to continue expanding my expertise and influence. I'm really passionate about helping organizations, helping them navigate these complex HR challenges, and we're in one right now. And helping them to implement effective strategies to enhance that employee engagement and overall workplace culture. I'm particularly enthusiastic about just deepening my knowledge in these areas like organizational psychology, leadership development, and some advanced HR technologies to be at the forefront of industry trends. But what I want to do is to provide my clients with that cutting edge solution, things that drive that positive change and improve their organizational performance. So really for me, the future is I'm focusing on the vision and those goals that I'm setting for my business to help others be successful in theirs. That's what's next for me.
So how can people get a hold of you? I know that you have a really good, which is part of what inspired this conversation, a really good newsletter that you put out, and I think is really practical. Yeah. So maybe tell people how they can subscribe to that and how they can get a hold of you.
Sure. Yeah. So people can find me on LinkedIn. It's really easy. It's, the LinkedIn Andrea Lucky. They can subscribe to my newsletter through LinkedIn. I post that weekly. And hopefully that provides some great insight for people who are trying to navigate all this lovely lovely HR stuff that we're going through right now. And then you can also reach me through my website, silverfernhrconsulting.com. And email is Andrea at silverfernhrconsulting. So
Wonderful.
Those are where people can reach me and find me.
We will put that information on our show notes too for anybody who wants to have a reference and just a reminder. So it's wonderful.
Yeah. So thank you,
inspiring.
Andy.
Thank you.
Any last words that you want to leave people with before we say goodbye?
I just want to, I want to thank you for having me on. It's so much fun. I enjoyed it last time, and I probably enjoyed it more this time because it's not my first time, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
You're a pro.
Exactly. But just to leave with people, just to, I think one key word is respect. Just be respectful, treat people with respect, ensure that other people are being respectful of others. Everyone has diverse opinions. And if you are keeping that in mind, letting people be heard and feeling important and included in the organization, people are going to be much more relaxed and engaged and perform for you. So that's I guess respect. We'll go back to Aretha.
Yeah.
Respect is it.
Yeah.
In a single word. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
I love that. Yeah. Thank you so much for being with us today and helping us to sort of navigate and helping our listeners navigate through this challenging time. And there's
pleasure.
hope.
Thank you.
Yeah. There's hope and there's a way forward. Yeah.
That's right.
Thank you.
you.
Bye. That was a very interesting conversation with Andrea. I really appreciated her just straightforward approach about how to really help our leaders.
Yeah, I really like the fact that it wasn't anything tough. I mean, it's not hard. We're not talking about doing things that are out of a norm. We're talking about stepping up and do things that are normal to help people and ourselves get through things, right?
Yeah.
I thought she did a beautiful job of mapping that out for people, and I hope that folks that heard that are able to put some of that into play and see how it works. You know, check it out. Just try it.
Yeah.
Don't try. Just do it.
Yes, just do it. So let's keep the conversation going. If you have questions or comments about the show, you can find us on all our social media channels at lifting_leaders. We have so many exceptional podcast episodes coming up with more fantastic guests. So be sure to subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen. You may also notice we now have solved our technical issues.
Yay!
We are fully on a new platform. And the other platform will be going away. So we have this kind of strange time where there are actually 2 Lifting Leaders podcasts shows showing up on Apple and Spotify. So do notice which one has the current versions, the current episodes. If you're listening to this, you're listening to the right episode, to the right platform, and make sure that you follow on that platform so you'll continue to get the most updated versions. We are also now on a lot of other platforms, so part of this process is now we have a wider reach, and we're excited about that. So hopefully we have some new listeners. Welcome. So if you know someone who would find this episode informative, inspiring, share it with them, text them, email them, or take a screenshot and share it on your Instagram and tag us at lifting_leaders. If you'd like to know more about us, our guests, or the show, please go to our website at liftingleaderspodcast.com. You'll find our show notes there as well. If you're looking for help in developing your leaders or would like a growth opportunity yourself through leader coaching, please contact us through our website. We'd love to help you.
Yes.
Thank you to Ari Chance Roberts for his technical support of our show. Finally, please take 30 seconds and follow us. It helps you because you never miss an episode, and it helps us because you never miss an episode. To follow us, go to the Lifting Leaders podcast show, the one with the current versions. If you're listening to this, you already found it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Then just tap the plus sign in the upper right-hand corner or click on follow. While you're there, if you'd be willing to give us a 5-star rating and review and share the episode with a friend, we'd be so grateful. It really does matter. Thank you, Trisha, for another great episode.
Thank you, Crystal. I'm glad that we had Andy with us.
Me too. Many thanks to you, our listeners. We appreciate you. Find ways every day to lift each other up. Have a fantastic week.
Take care.
Last time, I don't remember her last time.
At some point in our world.
What was it that we talked about last time? HR stuff. I was ad-libbing and now I've lost my place. Okay.
Okay.